In this short tutorial, I'm going to show you how to do data validation on times in Google Sheets. Imagine if you have a bunch of users who are adding data to your sheet and they're making a lot of mistakes. We can use some data validation to make sure that they are putting in nothing but times in their Google Sheets. In this example, I'm just going to show you a very simple way to add some data validation to ensure that your cells only contain times. So let's get started. All I'm doing in this example here is that I am calculating the duration of the start and end time in this Google Sheet. So I only really want to data validate A2 and B2. So I'm going to hold Shift down and select B2 as well. So let's go up to Data and select Data Validation. And what I'm going to choose here is the Date Data Validation and select Is Valid Date. That's it. It's kind of a misappropriation of the is valid date criteria, but it works, okay? And let's hit reject and we'll show some help. And here we're going to add enter a valid time as our clue for the user. And let's hit save. Okay, so let's do a few examples just so you know it works. First up, these ones aren't coming up with an error. So if I test this and say chicken, we know we're going to get an error, enter a valid time. Cool bananas. So if I say 12 a.m., we want to hope that it's a correct date, and it is. It gives us our midnight time. What about if I say 1 p.m., just like this? Yep, it recognizes it and it converts it to 1300 hours, which is the format that we've set previously. Okay, but what about if I put in 1, for example, or 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that? Well, that's not a proper date or time, so it's going to present us with an error, which is great. That's exactly what we want. Now, there's one small flaw in this cunning plan, and that is if I add in a date. So if I say the 14th of September, and we'll say 2001, for example, and hit enter, that's going to mark itself down as correct, and we're going to get a weird duration here. So that's the only flaw. That's why we've put in our comments. So I'll go back to this one, say chicken, that it says enter a valid time, hoping that no one is silly enough to put in a date. Now, that's a really short, sharp way to do some data validation, but if you want to be absolutely precise in putting your hours and minutes as data validation and even create it as a drop-down list, check out the next tutorial in this series and we will go through how to do it. Till then.